Tamara, this is everybody.
Exactly. You know, you get my clicker going here. And Bobby's going to pass around some handouts that we'll be using during this time. But just so you know quickly who I am, I'm Tamara Wolfe. I'm currently a certified life speaker and coach. And I come from being a therapist, a mind-body therapist back in time, then moved into being a leader in direct selling for many years, so mentoring and working with business. But really the common thread with all of it is personal development, helping people to live their best lives, step into what they love, and that was, I'll tell you more about my story that you can relate to with my longing and discontent, but I stepped into my life coaching and it's all just come together. And so, and I was saying when I walked into the room, just a little bit about my background, I love ice hockey, so when I saw that brought back memories, that little game over there. I was a dancer and an athlete, I love cultural things, I love going to sporting events, I just love fun, and I love people. And I love helping people be their best. So the name of my company is Full Spectrum Living. Life by design, not by default. So I'm here today, truly, to have you take that in. Life by design rather than by default. What I mean by that is to live a vision-driven life as opposed to a life of being controlled by circumstances. To step into possibility thinking as opposed to just status quo. Proactive versus reactive. Anybody relate to that? How many of you can relate to the whole idea of living one year over and over and over again? Automatic pilot. Or one day over and over again. Groundhog Day. Right? So my desire and my passion is to help people live 90 years full out as opposed to 1 year 90 times. Right? So we want to find a way to do that. So I'm here to wake you up and make you more aware of that. That awareness is the key, and we're going to get into that as we get going. But as I tee up today to kick off the conversation, I'm going to have you step into 3 T's. And this is something you can use when you go to any workshop or you're working with people. The first T is that you're going to tune in. Right? You're consciously going to tune in. I'm not saying, look at me. I'm saying tune in because you heard a lot of people in the room share things, and there's going to be questions and things come up. Tune in. What is your intention today coming here? What is the one nugget that you'd like to take? Tune in to getting at least one nugget that you can take with you. Makes a big difference when you go to any kind of event or you're talking with someone. What is your intention that you want to come out of that conversation with? Pardon my back here. So that's the first T. The second T is to turn up the volume. Turn up the volume because what does our brain do, and most of us do? If you hear something that sounds similar that you've heard before, you kind of go, okay, we lean back because our brain is trying to conserve energy. So it's saying, oh, I don't need to tune in here because I already know this. Well, I'm going to encourage you in any arena to lean in. Because every time you come to a conversation, every time you come to an event, you're coming as a new person. And you're listening with different ears. Does that make sense? Okay, and the last T is transformation. You don't know. You might have an aha moment, some little nugget that will really make a difference and tweak something that's going on in your life or your business. Are you with me? Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. And the topic today is the power of vision. Someone said they wanted to accelerate results. 3 keys to accelerating your results. We're going to step into that. So my intention is that you walk away with 3 tools that will help you achieve goals more quickly. Second one is clarity on your goals and dreams. Okay? And then that you're going to feel more confident in your ability to get there. Right? So I'm going to start with a fun little story. Some of you have been with me before, so you've heard the story. That's a mother mouse. I went to one arena where a lady was ready to run out the back door. This is a cute mother mouse. She's harmless. She was freaking out. I had to change the slide. But anyway, so this is a mother mouse. And she was running around the kitchen, gathering scraps of food with her babies. When all of a sudden, a cat came around the corner, creeping up, and of course the mother mouse scurried her children behind her, got up on her hind legs, and uttered, and of course, the cat, startled, ran away. And the mother turned to her babies and she said, now children, this is the power of learning more than one language. It was effective. She learned dog so she could protect her children, right? She had a backup plan. She had a success formula, a language of success. Now my question is, would you like to learn a language of success that you can use over and over and over again that'll help you get to where you would like to go? Would that be good? Okay, maybe you'll learn dog. No. So, how many of you have ever achieved a goal or a dream, right? And keep your hand up if you actually achieved it and you didn't know how you got there to begin with. You may not have known when you started. Okay? So we want to remember those things because we're really more powerful than you would realize. We're more powerful. You got there somehow. So you have that ability. And then raise your hand, I think we heard it, that you at least have something in your life you'd like to improve. And I'm looking, because if you don't have your hand up, I'm going to say you're fibbing, because we all have something, either a challenge or something we want to improve, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to aspire and keep growing. Look at nature. Nature is ever growing. We're part of that. And when we're not growing, anybody relate to feeling, what the feeling is? When you're not growing, what is a feeling? Dying. I literally said that to someone, excuse me, one day. I said, if I'm not stepping into my full being of what I was here to be, I feel like I'm dying inside. That was part of my longing and discontent. I'm here to give. And so, oftentimes, if you hear people who have stepped in and you see they're all in their passion, oftentimes their goals and dreams are born out of challenges. You might have had something that happened in your life and now you're stepping into something that really you have passion for because it's fueled by a challenge. So we have challenges ahead, we have challenges we went through. We want to have ways of working with that. So as I was sharing, the universe lets us know that we're ready to grow. It has signals of growth. And you just stepped into it with the question that we were asking at the beginning. Our longings and our discontent are actually good things. Oftentimes, we kind of freak out like, I shouldn't have longing. This job is good enough. I'm getting paid well enough. My family life is good. It's okay. My relationships, right? It doesn't mean there's anything wrong. That's just a signal that you're looking for more. You're seeking for more. You're ready for the next level. And it's important to listen. Anybody relate to when you haven't listened to some of that? What might happen? Anybody have a quick thing they want to share about that?
You're usually sorry that you didn't listen.
You're what?
You're usually sorry that you didn't listen.
Okay. Absolutely. And if I might, I'm going to just share my quick little story about my longing and discontent, and you can probably relate into that. So, several years ago, I was in another business, and I had been having whispers. I was going to events, and I was, I loved what I was doing. I was a leader in mentoring, but I just was feeling that longing and discontent. There's something more. I didn't know what it was, and someone I think in here said it. It was good being the enemy of great. I was good at what I did, right? But there's more, and I just was having that feeling of pulling. My inner voice, literally one day, I remember I was going to someone's house and said, "Stop." And it really startled me. It actually brought me to tears because I hadn't been listening. And then not too much later, I had a physical kind of thing happen. And that really made sense. It was a wake-up call. What did I say to her? We're waking you up. Waking you up and making you more aware of the cues that you already have that are helping you to move to the next level in business or whatever. So out of integrity as a leader, I knew, you know what, I better get my passion going back again in my direction. Because my people, when the vision's not there, the people
Perish.
Right? And, you're a reflection. If you're a leader, people are following you. You got to stay in that. So, out of integrity, I jumped into a thing to learn and step into tuning back into my vision. And I ended up at a conference. Long story short, at that whole conference, I really got clear on what my passion was. And lo and behold, it was not by accident, I do believe, the people who were running the conference had a line of a career path. And it's what I'm doing right now. I stepped into it with huge, huge fear while I was traveling. I didn't consult my husband. This was like getting a new master's degree. But it meant enough to me because I said, if I don't step in now, I'm gonna go home and continue dying. Life is short. And I could have easily said, what are you talking about? Or the voices were, after I signed up, midlife, what are you doing? This will be like a third career. You have a child in college, all those things, right, that are going on. I'm so grateful that I took that leap because the system that I learned, one of my core systems that I teach and coach on, is a system of success, and there are 10 principles. So today, I'm going to bring that to you, 3 of those principles. That it really, I've been applying it, and I've been working with clients, over time too. And I'm excited to share that. So I'm going to give you everything I can in the next, how many minutes? 15?
19.
19, okay. So we live in what we call a spiral universe, right? We're ever evolving to grow. And we're having results in all these areas of life. In health and well-being, time and money freedom, vocation and relationships. You're having results there right now, right? And so we're going to step into the results formula to understand where those results come from. And as most of you shared, some of the results aren't exactly where you want to be. Would you agree in those areas? So I'm going to have you, we're going to do a quick little exercise. You have packets in front of you, and the last page I want you to flip to has numbers all over it. And I want you to just pull it off and then turn it upside down on your lap for a minute. Does everybody have a pen? I didn't bring pens. Does everybody have pens? There's some in the middle if you need it. Okay. So we're going to do a quick, everybody good? Let me grab my water. So when I tell you to turn the page over, there are numbers on there. And I want you to circle as many numbers as you can, but not just randomly, in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, in order, okay? I had someone just like, all right, just like that. No, we're doing it in order for 1 minute, and then we'll do a little chat after that. So go ahead, turn it over. You have 1 minute, circle in consecutive order, 1 to how many you can. Seconds. And pens down. All right, heads up. So, raise your hand if you had 10. Keep it up if you had 15, 20, 25. How many have played before? No. 30, 35. 40, 45, awesome. Okay, so with that, you have your page in front of you. I want you to fold it in half. Got this paper. Fold it in half. And then fold it again with the numbers inside. You want the numbers folded inside. Yep. And then go ahead and open it up and fold it, upright. So, if you look at the top left quadrant, top left, you see the number 1. You go to the right top quadrant, you see number 2. Go to the bottom right, you see number 3. You go to the left and the bottom, number 4. Clockwise, there's a system. So if we were going to do this again, which we're not, just in my longer ones we do you think you'd get a few more Circle, right? Okay? It's a success formula. It's a formula of success. When you know the formula, you can move ahead more quickly. So you can hold on to that. So let's talk about the success formula. We'll start with everything. I'm going to invite you to take this in. Right? Anytime you're learning new concepts or taking it in. Everything starts with our thinking. Everything in this room started in the thought of the architect and the designer, what we're wearing, the cars we drive. Everything began in our thoughts. Einstein talks about that. Imagination is the most important piece of, it's more important than intelligence, more powerful, right? So everything begins there. And then we know that thoughts can create feelings. We actually have physiological responses when we are thinking thoughts. We can either terrorize ourselves or we can make ourselves feel good with what we're thinking. Okay? And we can feel it in the body. So if you're feeling something, you might go back to, what was I just thinking? And kind of retract that. Our feelings then fuel the action we're going to take. If we're doing really well, we're feeling great, we're going to take actions and move forward. If we're having a little funk in a particular area, we may not step into action as much. And those actions give us our results. So most of us in the land of our condition-based thinking, we say our results come from because I don't have enough money. I don't have the education. I'm not good looking enough. We get into the because. That's where we think our results come from. But truly, it all starts with our thinking, which is the good news. If we can really take that on and pay attention to that, and what Emerson says, stand guard at the portal of your mind and direct it where you want it to go, wow, it's powerful. Because our results never lie. If you take a look around at what's happening in your life right now, it's a result of your thinking. Does that make any sense to anyone? It's a result of your thinking. So that's the good news. That's where we start. So the first principle we're talking about when we're focusing in on our thoughts is really designing your vision or your dream, getting real clear on where you're going, getting into specificity of where you're going. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Successful people start with the end in mind. That makes it so much easier when you're moving forward, and you keep that vision clear. You easily can start blocking out the things that you don't need, and it conserves your energy and you're focused, right? And I had someone ask me, and another thing, you can have a vision for relationships? So it was a guy? Absolutely. And that's what I spend a lot of time with my clients on, getting really specific. So we're gonna do something here so you get a head start on it. But in your worksheets you have a whole list of things that you would do to create your vision and how you would do it. And I'm just going to quickly highlight those pieces of how you want to put that together. But it all starts with, what would I love? First, I'm just going to have to say clarity is power, right? And the question is, instead of what most of us ask ourselves, what can I do with my bank account, with what I have in my bank account? It might be in your business bank account. I can only do this much because this is all that I have. As opposed to, what would I love to be able to do? Really step into the possibility, decide that first, and then the other piece comes. So again, stepping into the what would I love is the guide that's going to help you in really what you want. And then we step into possibility thinking and we figure out how to get there. Have you ever got to some place, again, is with the goal, and you didn't know how to get there, right? So you are powerful. So in those 4 areas of your life, we're going to tune into for a couple of minutes, and I'll give you a couple of minutes on that sheet that has the 4 quadrants, right? We're going to give you 2 minutes to just step into that question. What would I love? and just whatever comes top of mind in whatever area that you have. So we're calling it stepping into the time machine. The reason I say step into the time machine as we do this exercise is because we're going to step 3 years out. When you step 3 years out, your brain relaxes about how. It goes, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about, how this is going to go. It relaxes. So it really lets you step into the what would I love, okay? And then you're going to also release the how. That's so important in the beginning process. Don't worry about the how. The how comes, but you first have to know where you're going. So we're going to go ahead and just in the worksheet for about 2 minutes, I want you to think about what would I love, and I'll give you a little guide. What would you love in your vocation right now? What are the things that you would love to have happen in vocation? What would you love in time and money freedom?
Are we filling this out on this
Yep.
sheet?
Yep,
In each of these areas? Okay.
exactly. You don't have to fill them, you're just, what's top of mind, just what would you love? There might be one quadrant that you spend the whole time with. What would I love in my relationships? Friendships. What would I love to do with time and money freedom? Is there some foundation that you'd like to give to? Is there a trip you'd like to take? What you're doing in your work and you want to promote yourself. Step into a new business. How about your health? What would you love in the area of health? Seconds. Remember, the longing and discontent is a clue for what you might love. Longing and discontent gives you information. 5 more seconds. Pens down and I say to be continued, right? This is something to continue. And I encourage people to literally go through your day saying, what would I love? What would I love when I leave today from this meeting? What would I love to do? I always talk about I love my iced coffee or my cold brew. I like, add something in your day. What would I love? But paying attention to the things that light you up, because it gives you information about what you want to have in your vision. On the worksheet, you'll see where I have, being clear. The biggest piece when you're putting your vision together is having images, right? You think in pictures. And emotion, that's key. You want to know when you read your vision, yes, I've got that yes factor. If you felt that before, you can bring that back and go and test that when you're really looking at your vision. When you read it, you want to be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing, I'm going for it. So I do a lot of work in that arena. So the minute we come up with our vision, right, we've got to get clear. The next piece, and this is oftentimes where people might fall off because they don't fully make that decision, I'm doing this. You've got to decide you're doing it. New Year's resolutions, people fall off within a month because they haven't decided they're doing this no matter what, they're stepping over the line. Again, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Successful people make decisions quickly without knowing every step. You're not going to know everything. You only will know what you have currently. They make their decision and they don't change their mind very often. And guess what? They also fail more quickly. And that's a good thing, right? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Failing forward. You get more information and then you keep going. So you got to decide. Who can read this for me? Who wants to read that for me? Kathy?
According to research at Stanford University, it doesn't matter what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and the last letter be in the right place. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word has it.
Isn't that amazing? That's what our brain does. It's powerful. You don't need to know every single thing when you make your decision, but you do need to know what you love. That's the key. So, there's a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter, and it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. You have the name of it? Mental activity? Decision. I go back to my decision to step over the line to be a coach. That took a long time in coming. When it was there, I made it fast because it all came together and it released and moved me forward.
So can I ask you a quick question? How do you know, because I've heard this before, right, because we have a similar journey. How do you know you've made the decision? Like, I think I've made the decision. I'm pretty sure I've made the decision. Yet the results are not happening when everybody says, when you decide, it happens. I'm like, okay, it's not happening. But I think I've made the decision. Am I missing something?
I'm going to put it on pause and we'll come back to that at the end.
We may need to have a one-on-one on it.
Yeah, no, but I do want to come back to it. It may come out here, but I want,
Okay,
we'll
all right,
go back
perfect.
to it, okay?
All right,
I'm going to say we will hopefully have some time at the end for questions and, yeah, one-on-ones are good too.
Okay.
So, as an example of a client or someone who stepped into knowing that her thinking wasn't in the vision-driven kind of arena, this woman, Judy, you may not relate to her, but she was a single mom, 2 children, working fast food. She wanted a house for her kids. She wanted a space for them. She was at an event like this, and she decided, you know what, I don't know how to do what I want to do, so I need some support. So she stepped into some coaching. So the first session, the coach said, well, what do you think is your first step? A blueprint. This is what we all need. We need a blueprint of where we're going. Get specific of where she's going. So she put her blueprint together. The next week, what's the next step? I guess I need to go and see if there's a possibility of actually finding that house. So she got a realtor, they went out, she found almost the exact house, but it needed repairs. So she came back, let the coach know, and then the coach said, but she got sad because the house, she was making $500, the house was $900. How many people would say, I'm sorry, Judy, like friends, coach, anybody. I'm sorry, Judy, that's probably just not possible. That's a big difference. Let's see if we can scale it down, right? That's taking your dream down. In the possibility thinking, the coach held the confidence in her that we can find, there is an answer. And she asked her, and she spent some time thinking, what could I do? Her idea was to write to the landlord and say, you know what? If your house needed repairs, if you give me the materials to repair it, I'll repair it. We can move in if you let us move in for $500. Took a little while to hear the response. The gentleman said, I have plenty of people that can rent this place for the $900. I'm not sure why, but your message resonated with me. Her dream was resonating with him. And he said, okay, if you do the work, I'll let you move in for $500. Judy continued to think into the possibilities, started a small business while she was there, and then eventually could buy the house and step into that. Had Judy not decided each step of the way to stay in the possibility thinking and staying with that and persisting and acting through, she would not have been where she was. So my question is, what is your next big decision? What is it that you need to do to step over the line, to step into your next your vision, and step into possibility thinking? There are no limits. There are ways to get there. So you must decide, because once you decide, things start aligning for you. When we have a murky vision and we don't really make the decision, we get to the end of the year and we've repeated the same year over and over. And it's not your fault, you just haven't made the clear decision, and there's some other things, mindset that's going on as well. So finally, the minute you step into your decision, boom, the fear comes up, and I think someone was sharing it before. What if I fail? As adults, we're really nervous about taking that step, because what if we fail? So we gotta figure out how we're gonna override that, because it's gonna come up at each step. I don't know how to do it, I'm gonna fail. We learn from kids, they fall down, they get up, they fall down, they get up. Have you heard a child say, I guess I wasn't meant to walk? Right? So the question is, are you willing to, fail and rise again? Because fear and failure go hand in hand. You hear all these examples, right? Not fit for TV, Oprah, right? She kept going. He was turned down 3 times, Spielberg, from film school. Walt Disney, I love this. He didn't have imagination. He fired from, the job. So fear and failure, as I mentioned, I knew I'll come to the end here. Fear and failure are actually good news. If you're not, and they fuel your dream, if you're not feeling fear, and you're not feeling failure, guess what? You're in your comfort zone, and you're gonna keep going through the same year over and over and over again. We're here, we only have one life. Step out and live it full out, right? I'm going full out. Anybody going full out, right? Absolutely. So when fear arises, just a quick thing, that's why we have our dream. You're gonna reconnect with your dream. That's your guiding principle. And then the thing that's gonna train your brain to no, you're not holding me back, is to get into action. You need to take the one action step to move in the direction of your vision every day. What is one thing I can do with what I have, with where I am? Because action is showing those old patterns. I'm doing this thing and I'm not going to be held back. I'm doing this. And it can be imperfect action. Because then when you get out there, you'll learn the next step and the next step. So to pull it all together, are we at the end? Yeah. To pull it all together, designing your dream. You got to start with the vision. Start with where you're going. Then you got to decide. And then you got to befriend your fear and really step into action. I say simply vision, decision, action. Rinse and repeat. Vision, decision, action. Rinse and repeat. That's going to keep your momentum going, doing that every day. I'm stepping into my vision. This is where I'm going. I'm deciding I'm going to keep going with my vision, and I'm going to get into action, because action will be rewarded. That's where it all is, and it can be imperfect. So whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it, because boldness and power have magic in it. So truly, my wish for you is that you live 90 years full out, as opposed to 1 year, 90 times. And it has to do with vision, decision, and action. So thank you. And I don't know if we have time for questions. Okay, so going back to Kathy, with your question about decision, only you will know. You made your decision, as you said. You make a decision and then you get going and then you're not seeing the results. So the decision for that at the time that you made it was what you felt needed to be, right? As you start seeing the results, that's where you might go back and kind of backtrack through to what was what were the actions, what were the feelings, going back to the thoughts. And if you're not getting the results and you think you made the decision, it's just kind of taking a pause. Is there a new decision I need to make to then move forward? And what was I thinking?
I think I'm impatient with waiting for the results, and I need to stay in action and not micro-manage the school board.
Sometimes we do that pause, right? Yeah, we get into action, we decide, and we don't realize we're not really taking actions that are supporting and going forward.
Yeah.
And this is where it can be small. Like if someone, has an idea that they want a beach house. I had a client who, that was one of her things, she wanted a beach house and she had no idea where, what beach, whatever. So one action step one day is to Google and look at different beaches. Take some time to kind of step into that. The next day, start looking at designs of that, of a beach house. Look at, all the magazines that show that. So it's little steps like that over time takes you where you want to go. But it's deciding that you're going to take an action, or you're gonna stay with it. You know, it's every day, staying in that discipline, and not letting our mind go down the terror, go into the terror mode, right? Oh my gosh, this isn't working, and spinning in that, we waste our thoughts. Our thoughts we want to channel into that vision. It's like taking a hose. You get to determine where it's going, right? So that vision is where it takes you. Good?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.